Welcome to Camp.Grill.Eat. I'm Angie, and today we're making grilled bacon wrapped pork tenderloin. This recipe is super easy to put together, easy enough to do on a weeknight, but you can also double it or triple it if you're entertaining. It's a super simple pork recipe to just toss on the grill. Requires only a few ingredients, and it's ready in less than an hour, including your hands-on time. We're gonna make it with a simple glaze and then wrap it in bacon, put it on the grill, and check on it every once in a while. But beyond that, that's all you have to do. So let's put this together. For this recipe, I have got a single pork tenderloin. This one's just over 1 pound. Usually they range between about 1 and 1 1/4 pounds. You'll notice like one end is a little bit tapered and thinner, so I usually just tuck that underneath and we can just use the bacon to sort of hold that in place. And that just gives you an even thickness throughout. To start with, you're going to want to season it all over with salt and pepper. And right now we have the grill preheating to 375 for indirect heat. So I generally, when cooking with indirect heat, prefer to have a burner on either side of where I'll be cooking. If your grill isn't big enough to accommodate that, then you can just have heat on one side and your indirect zone on the other side, and just rotate your meat so that it's close to the heated zone for half the time, just so it cooks evenly. So now we're gonna make a glaze for the pork, and it requires only 3 ingredients. I have 2 tablespoons of hot honey and 1 tablespoon of bourbon. You can skip the bourbon if you're avoiding alcohol. It just adds a little bit of smoky flavor. And 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. So that's all that goes into the glaze. And just mix it up. So we're gonna put half the glaze on the pork. And this just kind of gives it a sweet and spicy mustard flavor. Just adds a little bit extra flavor. So we're gonna glaze it with put half the glaze on the pork right now. Then we'll cook it for a little bit and finish with the glaze partway through cooking. So just rub about half of it on there. Just get it all over. And you can get underneath your little folded over bit too if you are using that. Just get that flavor in there everywhere. Okay, so now we're going to wrap it with the bacon. So I'm using thick cut bacon. The reason for this is because thin cut bacon will probably cook too quickly and become very crispy before your pork is done. So I prefer the thick cut bacon for this recipe for that reason. So you can secure the end of your bacon with a toothpick. Just stick it through the bacon and into your pork, and then you just wrap your bacon around. So you'll need, depending on the size of your bacon slices, I usually need about 3 pieces for each pork tenderloin. So if you're making more than 1. And then when you attach it, when you sort of, one finishes and the next starts, you can overlap slightly and use another toothpick just to secure it in place. So try not to overlap the bacon too much. You just want them just kind of going side by side here. If you overlap it, it might not cook through and get crispy enough in time. And then we'll just put our last piece on. We'll secure those. And that is really all there is to it. So you've got your glazed tenderloin, we've got it wrapped in bacon. And the bacon is gonna add flavor. It's also gonna help to keep the pork tenderloin juicy while you're cooking. Pork tenderloin is pretty lean, so it does tend to dry out. But between using the bacon and cooking it over indirect heat, the indirect heat also helps to prevent flare-ups on the barbecue. So now we're gonna head outside to the grill. We're gonna put it on indirect heat, 375. Just keep an eye on that temperature, and we'll let it cook for about 15 minutes before we add the next coating of glaze. Okay, so we've had the pork tenderloin on the grill for about 15 minutes, and you can see that the some of the bacon is starting to get a little bit crispier on the edges. There's still quite a ways to go. Anyways, we're gonna give it a brush with the remainder of the glaze. This is the last time we'll glaze it. After that, we want to make sure that the glaze gets fully cooked so that we don't have any of those raw pork germs in there. So just give it a good brush all over, give it a little turn. You want to still keep it over the indirect heat. And we're going to keep cooking it for another 20 to 25 minutes. This usually takes about 35 to 40 minutes. If you find at the end that your bacon is not as crispy as you would like, you can pop it over direct heat, low direct heat for a few minutes, and that should crisp it up. But we'll just let it keep going. We'll probably turn it once more and then check on it and see how it looks in about 20 minutes. Pulled the pork off of the grill. I checked it around 35 minutes. It was reading an internal temperature of 132 degrees, and we were shooting for 145. The bacon was still a little bit soft at that point, so I did put it, I turned one of my direct burners down as low as it would go, and I just put the tenderloin over top, about 2 minutes on each side. That brought it up to the 145 and crisped up the bacon a little bit. So it's been resting for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm just gonna give it a carve. Use a very sharp knife so that you're not sawing through the bacon, but it's looking pretty good. It's okay if some of the bacon just sort of falls away. Not really a big deal. Anyways, just to give you an idea of how it looks. It's nice and juicy. You can see right there, nice and juicy inside. Perfectly cooked through, and you've got some nice little bits of crispy bacon on the outside. So this is just a great way to cook a pork tenderloin to ensure that it stays nice and juicy. Great for a barbecue, great for a weeknight dinner. Really great for anything who doesn't like bacon on bacon. Anyways, thanks so much for watching.